Okay, DNA Sports, Dave and Joe, episode number 20. First of all, I want to thank Feedspot.com, ranking us as one of the top 100 sports programs
on YouTube.
On YouTube through the internet. It's a really big honor, and we're looking to go much higher and make this just accessible to a lot more people and, quite frankly, lucrative for us. So it's a great honor. I'm in the process of texting and emailing the guy who runs the site that rated us. So we're on the right path. Question for Joe. Your opinion of Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless?
I don't know really. I think it's entertaining, but that's all it is. I mean, they say the things they say to try to entertain people and get a rise out of people. It definitely seems like it's scripted, in my opinion. I don't know. They pick these things and purposely debate about them, so they always have to have the opposite opinion. So sometimes you're going to have an opinion you don't want to take, and everything you say is shit, and it makes no sense. You just want to act like you're...
I don't know why people want to watch it. I mean... Our stuff is fact-based, based on research and experience. These guys, they're just...
Well, they act like they're experts on everything.
And they're not. And
yeah, they just... It's like, here's a topic, go debate about it.
And I mean, they used to be together, and now Skip Bayless is with Sterling Sharp, who was a wide receiver, and Stephen A. Smith's on the show at 10 o'clock in Chicago with Max Kellerman. And it's just about... Let's bluster up anything we can, even if it's wrong, so people will watch it. I don't find it entertaining at all. It's all opinion, and it's all wrong opinion.
Yeah, and it's just the number of people that are entertained by it.
I can't believe people would be suckered into watching that crap. It's just crap. Today it was like, should you worry about the Cavaliers? They've played 7 games. They've lost 4 in a row. Do you think they really care about the beginning of the season when they've been in the NBA Finals like 2 or 3 years in a row? They don't really care. They're trying to adjust to new personnel, and they're saying, should they break up the Cavaliers? Cavaliers are old. And now they got Derrick Rose, who's a shadow of himself, and Dwayne Wade, who was the 10th guy off the bench yesterday, who's a shell of himself. And LeBron James really, he's playing point guard right now, and he could care less. Just get through the season so the playoffs can start. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. Who cares if they finish first, second, or third? They're going to eventually be in the finals because he's great. He's probably the second or third best player of all time, and he can carry a team by himself. But these guys have these opinions. Oh, what should you do about the Cavaliers? Nothing. Do you guys know anything about sports? Nothing.
So, and that's how it is all the time, though. In every media, especially in sports, it's, oh my God, they lost 2 games in a row. What are we going to do? It's like that for everything.
It's a non-story, but they make it into a story. Yeah. It's like such garbage. And then the other thing, locally, I mean, you should have editors or sportscasters that know what they're doing. So now we have a guy on Channel 7 who says, the Astros won their first championships in their 54-year existence. Okay, it's 56 years. This is the 56th season. Okay? So it was on the 5 o'clock news, so I figured maybe somebody who watched this will know that it's 56 seasons the Astros have played. He comes on the 6 o'clock news and says 55. So now there's 2 times in a row he was wrong. Not only that, he's publicizing the Northern Illinois Toledo game and gets the record wrong. Northern's lost twice. He says they've lost once. This is such garbage. It's just like going back last year, and now it came up again this year that ESPN forgets about the 2005 White Sox. Because
never forget.
Because it's not as big a story. They haven't had a World Series in 71 years. Well, yes, they did. So now they came up with something, ESPN, last week. The Dodgers and the Yankees are the only 2 teams, potentially the only 2 teams that have lost only once in postseason play. Forget about the 2005 White Sox? They did. So they come out with a qualifier, And then A.J. Brzezinski goes off, and Frank Thomas goes off. He said A.J. Brzezinski said it's a joke. We rolled through it. It's one of the best teams of all time, which it is.
Yeah.
It's one of the best teams of all time. That's basically ignored because it's not the Cubs. And the Cubs were a story because they were so futile for all those years, 108 years. So let's applaud the Cubs for being shitty all those years. The Sox were shitty for 88 years. Doesn't that count for anything?
I like this. Look, I'm looking right at you now. This is what I dealt with in high school for 4 years. This is nonstop yelling all the time. I like this. What else you got?
Fundamental play, the World Series. Okay, this is what I yelled at you guys about.
I was pissed about the World Series in general.
Okay, you were pissed about, and you'll talk about that. But here's a couple fundamental plays that didn't happen. There was a first and third play. I know you love this because it's a high school play. I think it was Dallas Keuchel of the Houston Astros with runners at first and third. He picks off a guy at first base, and the Cuban guy, Gurriel, the guy who made fun of
that piece of shit.
Yeah, the guy who made fun of the Asian guy, and then because he's an asshole.
Yeah, no repercussions, pretty much.
Right, basically, yeah. He's going to be suspended five games at the beginning of the year. Why don't you suspend him right now?
He should have been out at
no
least
backbone
one
by
Series.
MLB again.
At least one World Series game.
Well, anyway, he doesn't even look at the guy at third base and makes a wild throw to second, and the guy at third base walked across home plate. Yep. Now, you know the way we talk about first and third situations. Why are you running a first and third situation? Because you want the runner in from home. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, a professional first baseman doesn't even look at the guy at third base. So that drove me nuts. Yesterday's game, we had fundamental play. In the first inning, Springer got a double. George Springer, the MVP of the MVP of the World Series with the Houston Astros, gets a double. And Alex Bregman, who played for LSU and as a rookie, did a really good job, hit the ball to the right side to get the runner over to third base. And you know what? The pitcher was late in covering, and the first baseman made a wild throw.
A terrible throw.
So this is PFP. In the last game of the year, you can't get it right. Mm-hmm. So what did that do? That cost him. Bregman goes to second. They hadn't stolen a base, or they might have stolen one base the whole series. He steals third base because Darvish doesn't look at him.
And then what happens next?
Ground ball to the right to the first baseman. And did the first baseman throw home? No. He had a play. But we don't want to give up and out. So we're going to step out. So now it's 2-0, and you've taken the crowd totally out of the game, and that's great fundamental baseball. Then they added the runs on. Just Darvish was bad.
Yeah.
And I guess he was tipping his
pitch. He was actually, in my opinion, a good pitcher, but he was very bad his last year.
Yeah, and I guess Carlos Beltran has played with him, and he tips his pitches, and he told the players, and sometimes players don't want to know what's coming. But in this particular instance, the 7th game of the World Series, I think you want to know what's coming, and he was telling them what's coming. So a lot of the good sliders were fouled off, and when they knew a fastball was coming, the Astros are a really good fastball hitting team. And,
that's another thing, though.
Springer hit 5 home runs in the series.
Fundamentals, again, though, at this time in your career, how do you tip your pitches still?
How do the Dodgers not know that?
Yeah.
Am I doing good so far?
Oh, yeah, you're doing good. First of all, the first 2 runs.
Hey, we haven't been around in a long time, so we're angry.
We've been busy. But
hey, we're pumping up our business.
I missed those first two runs because the game was just about to start. So my brother decides to switch over to see what the Blackhawks are doing. He switches back, and it was 2-0. It's Game 7 of the World Series, guy. Who cares what the Blackhawks are doing right now?
That's it.
So anyways, we miss it. We have to catch up on what was going on.
The Blackhawks are playing their 11th game of the season, and you're not watching, which is this World Series. And again, we just talked about this off camera. It was really competitive, but it was like all or nothing type thing. It's like home run or strikeout. It's not. There wasn't a lot of plays in the field. A lot of.
I didn't see many spectacular. So nothing that was like, I'm gonna step up and be tough and just make the play.
Yeah.
It was more like
Yeah, the
the
shortstop.
pitchers are going to throw the ball over the middle, and we're going to see who hits more home runs, and then that'll be who wins.
Yeah, it set an all-time record. I believe it. They set an all-time record for home runs
in the World Series. Yeah.
So, there wasn't a lot of great outfield play. There wasn't a lot of great. There was some, but usually you'd see these. I just remember back then. I'm dating myself, but there was this one World Series. It was either 72 or 73 that Dick Green of the Oakland A's. He made one spectacular play after another at second base. To me, and Joe Rudy, a left fielder for the Oakland A's, scaled the left field wall to take a home run away. I mean, just play after play because, they tried to get the ball in play. It wasn't like home run or strikeout. We did see some people choking up.
Yeah.
Corey Seager choked up, but he still strikes out a lot because
and it's up for debate because while all these guys are swinging for the fences or striking out, the pitchers are throwing over the middle of the plate. If you're going to throw me BP, sure, I'm going to try to hit it as hard as I can.
Yeah.
So you can't blame it, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to get. If you get tough pitches, that's when you get hard plays that happen.
Yeah, I mean, you have these rookies, and like Bellinger's a rookie, and he had 39 home runs in there. Cody Bellinger of the Dodgers.
He had a rough series.
He set the all-time record in the World Series for strikeouts.
Yeah.
Because he's an all-or-nothing guy, what you were talking about. And then Corey Seager, he's got this block, he's got a hole in the swing, down and in on breaking balls, and they just kept on throwing it there. And
tell you what, though, he hits a lot of ball. I mean,
when they missed on it, he hit the ball hard, but when he struck out too.
Hitter or not, he hit a lot of balls hard.
And Justin Turner, again, who was spectacular in the National League Series. They held him in check pretty well.
Yeah.
Chris Taylor, who was a cast-off from the Mariners, the Dodgers actually fixed his swing, and it was a real easy fix. They flattened his bat out, and he was able to make a lot of contact. And our whole point on all the podcasts and video casts are doing, no matter how old you are, you still have to have good teachers and coaches. So Chris Taylor, they fixed his swing. He had to hit one home run going into the season, one home run in the big leagues. And I guess he hit in 18 or 19, and he had more in the playoffs, and he was a dangerous player. Great speed, and, and the Dodgers, worked with Jack Peterson, and all of a sudden he found his swing in the playoffs. So you have to constantly coach and teach. And, if we preach that constantly, it's a constant. It's an absolute. You need teaching on any level. And when you have coaches that can't teach and can't help, you're going to have bad teams because players can't develop, players can't get better.
Yeah, nothing for you. I mean, that sums it up pretty much. But, yeah, that World Series, going back to why I was pissed, I mean, we talked about it already. Just you miss the dynamic of good pitches, quality pitches, ones that they look like a ball, they got enough bite, and they're in the right count at the right time to fool with a hitter's head, to where he knows not to lay off of it. He doesn't know better at that point, right? No, instead their balls neat right over the plate.
Yeah, well,
and it's a home run derby. It was back and forth every time.
You have the Dodger manager, Dave Roberts, who just wore out the bullpen. I mean, any sign of trouble, he pulls his pitchers immediately. Yeah. And that, he did it against the Cubs. He did it against...
the best part is he pulled all pitchers immediately, except for the one who needed to be pulled each time was Yu Darvish.
Right. And I don't know who they played before that. They made quick work of them. So your whole point is this, and Houston had 2 starting pitchers. The Dodgers had maybe 1.5.
Yeah.
So I guess they had to use. It's not like the old days when, for example, the Baltimore Orioles, when they had Jim Palmer, Mike Cuellar, and they had Pat Dobson, and this is in the '60s. And they could just throw out guys, Dave McNally, and then they kept on having people in the rotation. Which the Cubs are the same thing. They have. What do they have?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough to compare because I do think today versus like previous years,
hitters are stronger, mechanically more inclined, and obviously the game's been around longer, so innovation of the game has been around longer, so people are getting better at it. But I mean, shit, like what's happening with the pitching then? Why isn't it getting better? Why aren't people up to par? I get pitching is harder than
Did you see? Did you
I
see?
think.
Yes. Did you see Verlander pitch? Now his minimum. He stayed in the 6 innings in the 2 World Series games, but he had a complete game. I mean, that's old style pitching.
Yeah.
That he pitched to hitters' weaknesses, and he didn't but he didn't forget his strengths. Sometimes you said, "Hey, this guy can hit this, but that's my best pitch," and they don't throw it anymore. He said, "That guy's a fastball hitter, but I have a good fastball. So I'm not going to lose faith in. I'm just going to put it in the right spot." I mean, basically, it's like, do you have command of your pitches?
Look, if it's your best pitch, that means you have command of it.
But so many of those coaches are saying, "Hey, don't throw my fastball," or these pitchers lose confidence in what their best pitches are, and they're trying to throw the hitters' weaknesses, and they end up not throwing as well as they can, and then they get taken out of the game, which leads me to being optimistic about the White Sox.
Yeah.
Remember the White Sox, the ones that won the 2005 World Series? Well, they got a boatload of pitchers in the minors. And if they pan out the way they're supposed to pan out.
I mean, if they ever take a chance on them.
Well, they should.
I feel like that's the life story right now with the White Sox.
They should just bring them all.
They got everybody that's good. And like I get this. My brother, he says this a lot. He makes a great point. Bring them up. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, you're going to lose 100 games anyway, between 90 and 100 anyway. So why would you want to lose them with guys like Derek Holland and Mike Pelfrey?
Yeah.
Just bring up all these guys. Let them get their brains beat in. And if they're tough enough to learn from it, they're going to be great. If not, you don't want them anyway.
People make a lot of excuses. Like, you don't want to bring them up and they're not ready. They are grown-ass men.
They are grown-ass men. Why are they so fragile? They're not fragile.
They're not fragile. You're just treating them fragile.
Right. So
bring them up. If you're going to lose 100 games, lose it with the future of the team.
Maybe they'll learn by failure.
And collaborate and bond and get better at skills facing 97, 98 of good pitching with good command versus being stuck down in the minors where they're better than what they are.
Yeah, check out some of these Hall of Fame pitchers like Greg Maddux. I think Greg Maddox's first year was 6-10. But he wasn't in minor leagues 6-10. He was up in the big leagues, getting his brains beat in and finding out what will work against major league hitters. Okay. Why not bring Kopech up? Who else are these guys they got down there? They got a ton of guys down there.
Honestly, if you're not going to make it in the big leagues, you're not going to make it in the big leagues.
Right.
You'll figure it out. And if you come up there, plus you arguably, right, you're working with the better coaches.
Yes.
The better hitting coaches.
Allegedly.
And you don't just come up.
Allegedly, these guys are really good.
You got enough skill to come up, you come up. But I feel like the White Sox, they lay back. He has enough skill. He's been putting in the work. He should come up. But the White Sox versus every other organization will just leave him down.
Well, there's a lot of organizations like that.
Yeah.
I hate to say that the White Sox are just stubborn about that. They want to slowly develop the guys. Screw that. It's like with the Bears. Okay. You had to figure out after 8 turnovers that the guy they spent $19 million on was no good, and you just drafted a guy second overall. Play him.
Yeah.
And then not only do they play him, they finally play him, but now they don't mold the offense around him. They throw 7 passes in one game just because the guy's trying to keep his job, and he's not trying to develop the kid. That kid could be a stud.
Yeah. Don't even get me started, though. We should have already had Watson as our QB.
Well, he's out for the season, so you can have him.
Well, you know what? He'd be in if he was with us. You don't know the turn.
No, he got hurt in practice and a non-con today. He got hurt, and everybody's saying Watson. Watson had a good defense, a playoff caliber team, and he's got great receivers. Trubisky has no receiver, receivers,
but he does go out there and compete.
He does, and he has great poise. But the offense is not geared for him toward his strengths, and they have 2 rotten tackles. Like Charles Leno Jr., don't jam him down my throat. Don't jam Bobby Massey down my throat. They're both awful.
Yeah.
Okay, get some tackles.
Yep.
But, hey, gear your offense to Trubisky. He's the star, okay? Roll him out. Run him. Protect him, okay?
I mean, they actually could be
overpay for offensive linemen.
They could be really dangerous between him and their current running backs.
They could, because their defense is pretty good. out of nowhere because they have guys that can cover on the outside. So now they can do a lot of different things.
Yep.
How do we get talking about football?
I don't know. I have no idea. Anyways, let's go on another tangent. Participation trophies are bullshit. That's something else we were talking about, and I just want to throw it out there.
I've said that to you.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Participation it's nonsense. It just, I don't know. We said earlier, a lot of good players and good professionals in baseball, basketball, and everything, they think it's bullshit yourself because you're teaching people not to be competitive.
Yeah.
And like in a game where the object is to win, to grow, to be a strong team, like that stuff is reached by competing with yourself against your teammates, against the opponent team, everything. Every single
What's the
day.
counterpoint to winning at all? I mean, that's winning at all costs, right?
Yeah.
But
Or it's not even winning at all costs. It's trying to win at all
trying
costs.
to win, yeah.
That's what it's for. It's not that it's like win or like you don't get dinner tonight. It's like try to win and give it your best because that translates to life. So right, if you show up to work and don't do anything, you're not gonna get a participation trophy. You're gonna get fired.
Right.
Right? So it all translates over. That's why people play sports, whether they realize it or not. They're learning about life.
I hate trophies.
You show up, you give it your all.
I hate trophies.
I know. Participation, that shit's crazy.
What is it? Intrinsic or extrinsic value? And extrinsic awards are trophies. You don't need them. Okay? Sports is a dog-eat-dog world. It's about winning.
Yeah.
Hey, learn. If it was so easy, a lot of our parents would be playing
and that's the
professional
thing, though,
sports.
because if someone's listening and they don't understand what we're saying, and they're like, oh, these guys are crazy, like, it's not all about winning, stuff like that, but they don't truly understand what we mean by winning, like, what it takes to win, the effort you put in, the time you spend with your teammates, the work you put in the offseason, the work you put on the field, and when it results in a win, that beats a trophy.
Don't you have guys on your high school team? And I do. Just because they're on a team, well, we think they have to play. Well, no, they don't.
Yeah.
They have to earn it. And, we have to keep a certain amount of guys.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. That's why.
And they don't, and maybe it's the fault of me or you or whatever that's not getting through to these guys. If you don't do what it takes to be a winning program and be a winning player, you're not going to be put on the field. If you just think you're going to be put out there to participate, you're wrong. And I've kept guys in the past just because, hey, they can go back to their family or their girlfriend or whatever and say, look, I played on a high school team. I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
I want guys that have one goal, to win.
Yeah, and at the same time, do you know how many kids don't see the field and they work their ass off? But hey, they work their ass off. That says a lot about their character. They show up and they might never get a chance to play because maybe there's other people working their ass off and they turn out to be better than them. That doesn't mean they don't add value to a team.
Right. My first Jones team, we had this kid, and you know him. His name's Jose Favela. And they called him RoboCop. Mm-hmm. And he had never been taught before, but the kid was the hardest worker I've ever seen. And he was like so robotic. That's why they called him RoboCop. But he stayed with the program, and by the end of his senior year, I first joined that when I became the head coach. He was a junior. He was a starter at the end of the year. He was a part-time starter, but he got on the field. He was real fast, and we used his gifts to his abilities to our advantage and to his advantage, and he loved being a part of the team. He would do whatever it took to win.
And those are the best stories.
Those are the best stories. I mean, everybody can coach the superstars, but those type of guys where you have to develop them and find out what they do best, that's hard. And the only people that can do that are the really conscientious, really good coaches and teachers.
Yeah, it's true.
I remember you coming up as a freshman, and you were real cocky, but you were more advanced. You understood baseball, and you could. And I was hard on you.
You know what you were? A jagoff.
Yes,
Okay.
I was. But I knew there was something in you. You could be like a winner, and you were the big cheese in your neighborhood and the big cheese in your family, and you did something. We beat this team, and until this year, we had never beaten them again. But you just had a combination of mental toughness, and you made the most out of your ability. And you're not big,
No.
and you weren't strong as a freshman, But you ended up playing 4 years in college, and that's what a gift, what an advantage just to have that opportunity and privilege to play in a college program.
Yeah, I mean, not many people get to do it, so
No,
I know
I mean,
I'm lucky.
Yes, I mean, but you worked at it, and there was times that you hated me, but you never thought it was personal, but you hated me because I thought I challenged you, and you became a leader, and you were just. I saw you after we made the Super Sectionals. I never saw a guy so emotionally like you couldn't even believe what was happening. It was great. It was like it made my year watching every
What was it like
player's
when you
reaction.
when you first went there?
Oh, it's terrible.
When you first went to the Super Sectional?
No, when I first started at Jones, or my first Super
Your
Section.
first Super Sectional with Jones, because obviously you built it up from pretty much nothing.
Yes, it was nothing. We had good players. We were missing one player.
No. What was it like for you as a coach?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean,
I have to imagine it's kind of like, I'm 14, 15 at the time when we go for the second time there, and we're playing in like a professional stadium.
oh, it was great.
You wouldn't get nearly as many people to show up to our games as you do that one game.
Oh,
we're playing against a team that we don't, on paper, don't belong in the same league with,
Right.
but of course we hang with them. But
right.
That's what I'm like. What was it like for you?
Well, that team ended up. I think the first year we played them, they finished third, and the year after that, your freshman year, they won the state championship, and we had them on the ropes the second year. First year we had a great pitcher throwing, and he was a junk baller, and they scored 4 runs in the second inning because they found our one weakness, which was a left fielder who we converted into a left fielder from a second baseman, and he misjudged the ball and up 4 runs. But we threatened a number of times, and we finally scored in the 6th inning and had the bases loaded, and our best player hit the ball off a guy's chest, and the pitcher and went right back to the catcher, and we ended up throwing a guy out at first base. But they knew they were in a game. It was really like flattering that we hung with them, because every news outlet and newspaper said Joliet Catholic's going to just roll right through this, and we made them work. Then the year after that, we just knocked out their best pitcher, who ended up winning the state championship game. We knocked them out in the 3rd inning.
I'll never forget that damn home run. That's the difference maker right there. We lost 13-8, grand slam. I mean, it sucks, but
we were close in the 6th inning, and then with 2 outs, they hit a ground ball through our third baseman's legs, and 3 runs scored.
Yeah.
But and then the last play of the game, our guy hit a rocket that they turned into a double play. So it wasn't meant to be. We didn't have pitching that particular year, but the grand slam that you talked about, that was the first home run the guy hit all year, and he smoked it.
Yeah. I mean, it was earned, but just sucks.
Yeah.
I remember being out there like, damn.
If we would have had the same pitcher that we would have had the year before, we would have won the game, and we would have been the state semis. So, yeah.
We had some players. I mean, some hitters.
Oh yeah, they were afraid of nothing, and that's really.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yes, there's
Playing
two.
with like a tenacity.
Have ability and be mentally tough and be afraid of nothing.
Yep. All right, let's wrap it up. Dave and Joe, DNA Sports.
Podcast 20 was long, but it was
Exciting.
yes.
Because we love baseball. See you guys.